Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle with us at the Take Exchange, we've got the entrepreneur and photographer, Bethany Paige. So we're excited to have her here. You've probably seen her pictures featured in People magazine. She's worked with some amazing people, from athletes to celebrities. Worked with one of my favorite people, Magic Johnson, that I saw.
Oh, yes.
Awesome. So welcome to the circle. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor.
Yeah.
Really excited.
We've seen your work, and you are just unbelievable. Your eye and everything. You got some amazing, amazing work.
Thank you. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Very much so. So where are you from? And are you from Las Vegas? Or?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Been here my whole life. It's home to me, and yeah, I love it.
So you born and raised in Vegas. Did you ever move anywhere else?
No.
Or you've always been here?
Just always lived in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking you might have moved out of the country or something and then came back.
Not that adventurous.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking you did. So that's cool. Yeah.
You know, Las Vegas does have a good job growing homegrown talent. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's been amazing too. I feel like the last couple of years, a lot more people like in their 20s are staying here and kind of growing businesses here versus just like heading out to LA or moving other places. So it's been really cool to kind of work with people in their 20s and kind of just see them growing over.
Yeah, you see a lot of that, man.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah, my mom's born and raised, and it was like such a surprise when she would tell people that. And now with me, it's like, oh, me too. So
it's awesome to see that, man. So when did you pick up a camera?
So I, of course, growing up, it's funny when I look back. In like 4th grade and 5th grade, I would always bring disposable cameras to school, and so I like even now I have like big baskets of just like random pictures. I used to take pictures when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old. But when I really first picked up a camera was my sophomore year in high school. I had to choose an elective class, and so I was like, I'm gonna take photography. So I took photography. I actually wound up getting a C in the class because I couldn't do my homework.
Really? Okay.
But I really fell in love with photography. Like I went to New York with my family on a family trip, and I took pictures in the city on my little pink point-and-shoot camera. And it was really there where I discovered like, whoa, I love the camera. I love being able to create stuff with it. And I went back to school. We had an assignment due, and I went back to school with my pictures from New York. And people were like, whoa, these could be in magazines. I mean, they weren't that great, but that was like the push I got where I was like, oh, I really like this. And my family friend had a photography business, and she was shooting weddings. And so I told her how I love photography, and she's like, come with me. And so I wind up, when I was 16, started going with her, carrying her bags, carrying a stool, had my little camera in hand, and just would start shooting. And ever since then, I just started second shooting her on weddings. I would, kind of just took off from there. So.
Yeah, you got some amazing work. And then what would you say your style of photography is? Because that's what I see. Like when you as soon as you see it, you think magazine, you think, runways. It's very rich.
I appreciate that. Yeah. My goal with my photos, I guess, so I've been doing it for 10 years now, going on 11 years this year. So I've really seen trends come and go the last 10, 11 years. And so my goal with my photography and my photos is just for them to be timeless and classic and kind of just like transcend time, where it's like when you look back in 5 years, it's going to look the same, where it's like, oh, that looks like your photo still. It's not going to the trends come and go, but a classic photo never goes out of style. True. Not to be cheesy, but it just stays.
Yeah.
You do more like functional photography, where it's like for certain occasions, or do you like more of the artistic photography?
Honestly, both. Like that was something, they always say like focus on one thing, one type of photography, but I really love all different types. Like I love even sometimes shooting corporate events where I'll go and I get to like meet some really cool people there, and maybe I'm just taking pictures where it's like 1, 2, 3, smile, like those kind of photos. But I've met some of the coolest people there. So, and then there's other times where I get to be very creative, where I work with like different brands. Like I did a brand shoot this summer with Pure Vita, and they really Pure Vita bracelets, and they really let me like take creative direction and be creative with it and kind of have my vision come to life. So it just kind of depends on the day for me, and it's hard for me to just choose one. So.
That's good. When did you get the confidence to say, okay, now I'm starting Bethany Paige, and now I have my photography company? Like, when did you know, like, okay, this is it?
So when I was 18, after I graduated high school, I started going to college, and I was like, I want to open up my own business. So I started a Facebook page, Bethany Paige Photography, and took it from there. But I would say probably, I would say probably like 4 years ago is when I would start telling people like, oh, I'm a photographer. Like I always used to tell people like, I do photography. It was so hard for me to like claim it.
Got it.
And so I would say about 4 years ago is when people asked me what I did, I was like, I'm a photographer. Like I have a business. And
there you go.
started rocking that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were actually a high school photography teacher for a little while, for about 4 years, I saw. So
Yeah, so I was a middle school and high school photography teacher. I would teach the elective classes. So
okay.
my life kind of came full circle, whereas like I fell in love with photography in like a high school classroom, and then I actually went back to my same high school. How it happened was the teacher that was there went on maternity leave. And she contacted me and she said, like, Bethany, you'd be great. Like, you should come and, like, substitute while I'm gone. And at the time, I was only 21. And so I was teaching 18-year-olds. I'm like, are you sure? And, like, the principal
what was that vibe
yeah.
like? Just to be able to deal
I'm
with
like,
it. Yeah.
I'm Mrs. Taylor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, she's like, you'll be great at it. You should do it. And so we talked, and the principal knew me because I went to high school there. He's like, yeah, like, you know, you should go for it. You have your, you know, your business and all of that. And so she decided actually not to come back. And so they asked me to fill the position. So I would teach 8 hours a week. It was only 2 hours a day.
That's like
really
that's a prime job. 2 hours
Yeah.
a day. 2 hours a day. Just
So
to
it
be
was
able to
kind
do
of
it.
that consistency, especially over those years, like those 4 years when I was growing my business. It was so nice to have like another like consistent job that was also included photography.
Got it.
And when I decided last year was my last, I think it was 2 years ago was my last year, was it just, my business started picking up and it was really too hard to keep up with both, but I learned so much with teaching. It was an amazing, I loved the kids. It was so cool to kind of, you know, bring it full circle.
Yeah, and there's so many creative people out there too. What were you teaching in school with? Because especially because the social media has been so crazy. What was that like?
So it was really cool. The principal really gave me like creative and like control to kind of do what I want with the class. I had to turn my lesson plans, but he said like just go with it. I actually did a project on Instagram where I had them create poster boards, and they took photos. They like I made them create an Instagram feed. So we would took maybe let's say 9 photos, and we printed them out into squares, and they had to make an Instagram feed that like flowed together and was cohesive, and like showed them how like they can, you know, make their Instagram look good and make a business out of it. And so they had to write a bio, they had to have a profile pic, they had to, you know, make different photos where it was an interesting Instagram versus just something boring. So
I don't know, everybody would sign up for that class. Yeah, I mean, that's like real,
I did have a pretty big class.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was fun. It was a fun art class.
And so you kind of transitioned. So you were building that, and you had you actually taught for a little while, and then about 4 years ago you started Bethany Paige Photography, which is awesome. I was reading about that. Where's some of the coolest places that you've traveled to be able to work and have fun?
My most recent trip that I had a lot of fun was Lake Tahoe.
Beautiful.
Pure Vita
Yeah,
bracelets.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
they hired me to do a shoot out there with Yogi blogger. She's awesome. Her name's Kenzie, and they flew me out there, and we got to just kind of create she came out with her own bracelet pack with Pure Vita.
Okay.
And so that was really cool to just go up there, and I love it up there. It was so fun to
it's
shoot.
beautiful,
That was
too.
probably my most recent. I just went to Palm Springs for a wedding. That was fun. But yeah, I really, to be honest with you, I love shooting in Vegas. Like, I do love getting hired to like go elsewhere, but it's like Vegas, I kind of know like the back of my hand, where it's like I know if someone gives me a vision, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where to shoot this. Like, let's go.
So you get so many different places here because you have the mountains, you have the the lights, the colors, the
like
action. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, yesterday I was up in the snow doing an engagement shoot up there, and then the next day I can go down to like the Strip and do something cool there. So you can get 2 different looks with that.
For sure. Especially because you have Red Rock, you have Mount Charleston,
like
so many different,
water.
Yeah. I actually haven't done a shoot out like me.
Yeah, like me probably a good one. It's not that exciting.
Yeah, but still, that would be cool. I've seen photographers do it, and they execute and look beautiful, but I haven't been out there yet.
It seems like, a lot of people are driven to photography here. Do you think it is because of all of the different environments and all the different people that you can see here?
Yeah, I just think there's like a great market for it too, where that was something when I was growing my business, even like, so when I was like 18 graduating high school, I remember talking to people, and even people that were like mentors, and like, yeah, like photography is a great hobby, or like, oh yeah, you could do it on the side. And I was like so determined to be like, no, like I'm gonna do this full time. Like we're gonna make this happen. And there is so much opportunity here, whether even, the more I get into the commercial world in photography, there's so much commercial opportunity here with the Strip and different.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and then it's like, or if you want to get really artsy, you can go. So there's so much room. Sometimes people will be like, oh, the industry's so saturated, but there's room for everyone. Like there's so many different types of photography. So.
Because we've talked to a few photographers, and I feel like it's not saturated because you have your eye.
Yeah,
your eye is different, your vision and everything. And I saw you've been featured in a lot of magazines. I mean, you were on People magazine, which was unbelievable. That
was.
How did that happen?
Okay, so that was a really cool opportunity. I actually second shot a wedding with someone.
Okay.
So her name is Raquel, and it was for the Sister Wives. So they had, they were getting, one of the kids was getting married, and so she had a connection with them, and she's like, I'd love for you to come and shoot it with me. Like they're gonna probably get it featured and all that. And so it was just such a great opportunity that she gave me and to do. And so one of my pictures wound up being chosen to be in it, and that was crazy because I love growing up. I mean, I would have stacks and stacks of magazines in my room.
What did that do to you to see that? How long ago was that? Was that within the last year or two, or I didn't see when it was published.
That was in 2016.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So and then I guess January 2017, but we shot it in December 2016.
Did that give you like the swagger to be like, okay, now, you know what I mean?
To be honest, it didn't feel real. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And even, I think, I will say over the last, like, even 2 years, like, getting photos in Vegas magazine was even more, like, yes, People magazine was amazing, but the Vegas magazine, because it's, like, growing up here, I would see it so much, and then you would go to, like, just a, like, a local cafe or whatever, and you'd see it, and I'm like, whoa, my photos in that. So even, yes, People magazine is huge, but, like, the Vegas magazine was super cool for me just to be able to.
That's great. And you've been featured in Vegas magazine multiple times, I saw.
Yeah, with Vegas magazine, I've worked with them, or not with them, but with people that got featured in that. And Luxury magazine was one that I recently this year got featured in. That was super fun with the Wilson Gabrielle girls. They have a jean line, and Kelly and Tori, so their photos were in that, and it was really cool to have my photo in there.
And did you do something with the Downtown Summerlin in Vegas magazine?
Yeah, that was actually the first time that I was like a 4-page spread for their advertorial for their Christmas. It was like last November.
Okay.
And so I worked with them on that project, and that was such a an amazing opportunity for me because that Downtown Summerlin and their Summerlin team, they're just so amazing to work with. I've been working with them now consistently for about 1.5 years, and I do a lot of their events and all of that, and the fact that they chose me to do their spread for Vegas magazine was
it's great.
Yeah, surreal.
I don't think Downtown Summerlin gets enough credit. You know what I mean? Because you got the backdrop with Red Rock, and you got so many different events that they did.
They are killing it. Like, I will give them, shout their praises. Like, their marketing team over there is so amazing. They do such a good job. Haley and Kenny and Joey and all of them, they do a great job over there.
Is it more important, do you think, for networking in your business or actually having the ability? Because it seems like a lot of it is, you could have a lot of great photographers, but how are you going to identify who you're going to work with?
That's such a great question. Like, because I am a firm believer that, like, I heard this quote when I was like 18, and I'll never forget. It's like, where you'll be in 5 years depends on the people you meet and the books you read. 100%, And looking back, it's all about the people you meet. Like, people you meet in passing, where it's like, oh, hi, how's it going? Like, you never know who you're gonna meet, who that's gonna lead to the next thing. And that really, I will say, like, I feel like even the people you meet is almost, once you learn the photography, I shouldn't say that. Once you learn the photography and you learn the work and you keep evolving and growing in that, the people you meet are gonna be even more important because those relationships go so far. Once you build that trust.
You
like,
just said it, the trust. That's
the
exactly
trust,
what it
and
is.
they trust you, you trust them, and like, business is cutthroat, and so once people see through that you actually care about them and like what they're trying to do, they respect it and they trust you.
It seems almost like it's a very word of mouth business. You have to work with somebody, do a good job for them, they then refer you to somebody else. And it seems like it's very important to keep that trust.
Yeah, and I will say, just to be real, like, it does create pressure there where you're like, you don't want to let people down. This Vegas is such a small city. Like, I can't tell you how many times I meet one person and then it's like, oh, I know that person. You're like, what? Everyone knows everyone. And so it has kind of created a little stress on me where I'm like, I don't want to let that person down because I don't want them to, refer to that person, so it's definitely that stress. But if your heart's in the right place, I think people see that, because you're going to make mistakes and you have to be okay with that.
That's true. And I like what you were saying about, you don't know how the people are going to work in life, because I heard something about people are going to be in your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime, and you don't know what it is. So it's like you're just working that journey. And I can't even imagine, because you do, pictures with multiple people, whether it's family photos or businesses. And, I was seeing some of the pictures you've done with kids and family that I'm just like, whoa, you know how to capture the moment,
Thank you.
It's pretty cool.
I was just telling I was saying yesterday I had a really cool family shoot that I got to photograph this family that was really special, and I was like, no matter how much, even if I'm going to be doing a lot of, like, I've been doing more commercial work, which I've been loving, and that's like so fun to get to help people grow their business, but at the end of the day, like, when I fell in love with photography, it was like getting to capture those moments and those memories for people, and it's like I still always want to be able to like do that for people, like whether it's family shoots or maybe I won't be able to do as many every year, but being able to still do that, it's still special. It takes me back to when I was 16 with a camera, you know. So.
And you don't think it's going to be as with photography, you don't realize how much of a social person you need to be because of the fact that you think you're behind a camera, you're very antisocial, but in reality you're involved in these people's intimate moments of their life.
I always tell my husband, we joke, I'm like, I have a degree in small talk, because it's like you meet someone and you have to make them feel comfortable within the first 5 to 10 minutes, like, hey, I'm gonna get in your face and like with a camera. And so it's like, that was something that my mentors that I work with in photography really taught me, was like, at the end of the day, like, you have to be a people person. The camera is probably, I would say photography is like 15% of the job. The rest is either like how you're dealing with people, you know, the business part and all of that. That's a whole nother thing with the business part. So
is it difficult to like get into a position where you start having to tell people what to do, because you're saying, hey, stand this way, look in this direction, and you have to be very kind of assertive to be able to do that.
I would say wedding. So I started with weddings. So I was second shooting with weddings, and that really taught me a lot, was getting people, you know, you're having, especially I was 16 and I was photographing these weddings, and people used to be like, oh, do you want a drink? I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'm like 16 years old. I had no idea. But I was like, I learned how to like be like, you know, authoritative and like kind of bossy and like, all right, everyone get together, do this, do that. And I think that really helped me at a young age to learn how to do that and like grow and to be more confident in that. And I always say, it's funny, when I get a camera in my hand, I get like, become someone else, where I'm like, oh, I don't, like, in real life I'm a rule follower and I'm you know, play by the rules. If I have a camera in my hand, I'm like, oh, let's figure this out, let's ask for forgiveness, not permission. You know,
you were built to do that.
Aw,
for sure. You can
you.
see with your energy and everything. I was seeing something about asking somebody a question. It was like, do you live to work or do you work to live? And it seems like you really live, because you're doing your photography and you're doing everything. Like, you literally are in the moment of doing that.
And that's something I really want to, like, this year is like focus, like, I'll be honest, the last 2 years I've really, like, work's been like,
crazy. I'm
so thankful that like my husband's so supportive and like my family and all that, but it really has been, especially from the months of like October to December of the last 2 years.
Times,
it's like I'm working 24/7, and so this year I really wanted to, like, you know, I met someone at an event recently, a woman who's slay, and we were having a conversation, and she's like, she said to me, she's like, you always want to choose life. And she's like, at the end of the day, work is important, but you always choose life. If you have a family event that you're supposed to be at, like, you go to that. And that just, like, really struck a chord with me, where it's like, that's what I want to, you know, prioritize. Like, work is, you know, there's always going to be great opportunities. And though that's so hard for me to say no to things, I'm working on that, you know. So, yeah, I really want to exercise that this year.
I'm seeing more. We've talked to a lot of business owners, you know, on our show, and it seems like you have to say no. Or your time is
so hard for me.
No, it is. You gotta.
I'm like
such
a yes person, where I want to do everything, and it's like, oh, that's a great, or like make everyone the exception to the rule, and it's like, oh, you know. So it's like you build your business on saying yes, and then you learn how to build your business on saying no, and that's something I want to, like, you know.
That's good stuff. So you worked with one of my, I've never met him before, one of my favorite people, Magic Johnson, just because I follow a lot of his, you know, speeches and just everything he's done. How did you get a chance to connect with him?
So it was actually with a videographer named Stefan Newman. He's awesome. We met actually at a wedding, so another networking thing, connection. We met at a wedding. I told him how I was kind of getting in the more commercial industry, like I wanted to do more of that. Literally 2 weeks later, he called me and he's like, hey, I have a commercial opportunity for you, if you want to do this, or if you're available. I'm like, oh, what's up? What is it? And he's like, it's with Magic Johnson for Denny's. He was like the new face of Denny's. And so he's like, I am doing all the video and I need a photographer. They need someone to do photos for it. He's like, are you available? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So it was really, again, back to that connection I met with Stefan at the wedding. Like, we kind of hit it off there, and he, like, you know, got me the job there. And so, that's awesome. Magic Johnson was amazing. Like, he was so...
I've heard nothing but good things.
Oh, he came in the room, introduced himself to everyone. At the end, he's like, hey, who wants a photo? Like, who wants to show their kids what they did at work today? Like, down to the makeup artist. It was so cool. Like, you don't, not every athlete and celebrity is like that, so.
No, I heard somebody, I went to, it's kind of funny, I went to his Christmas party years ago when I used to live in LA, but I never met him. So we're at the party and everybody, their mom is there, but did not meet him, and I always wanted to meet him. So it's great to be able to see work with him, because he's class act. So.
And he's so professional. When we were doing, he was running his lines for the video, it took him like 2 tries each. He was like on top of it, like he's like, we'll get you guys in and out, let's do this.
That's cool, man. So just kind of shifting a little bit, you were on a book cover for Miss Jeanette Schneider, is that my understanding?
Jeanette Schneider. She's awesome. She is an author, and she actually, I think she launched a podcast too, so you guys will have to check her out.
Okay,
Gold,
awesome.
I believe her podcast name is. I hope I'm getting that right.
Okay.
She's awesome. I think she was referred to me by one of my clients as well, and she was doing a book cover. That was probably about 3 years ago. I might be getting the timeline off.
Awesome.
But I had never done anything like that. And she's like, hey, do you want to shoot my cover? I'm like, let's do it. So we did her social media stuff as well. She chose one of the photos from that social media shoot to be on her cover.
Yeah, you got so many different layers to you. So you could do, you know, photography that way, or book covers, or anything. So it shows your unique styles. You know, it's really good.
It's so hard for me to choose one. I like doing it all.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun. So, and then you recently started a workshop, right? So Bethany Paige workshops. So where you're mentoring and coaching.
So doing that middle school and high school photography where I was teaching for 4 years, I knew that I loved teaching. Like I really found a passion for that. And I knew that like that season of me teaching like in a classroom setting was over. And so I was like, okay, like I just was really praying about it. I'm like, okay, God, if this is the end of the season, like I want to be able to, eventually do this. And it was so crazy how that season ended. But then I got to, with the time I had with that, I got to, like ending that season, I got to put it into workshops. And I started working with a team. And so that helped me out a lot. They helped me really, launch my first workshop in April. And that was like on a high after that, and then I did another one in September, so I'm hoping to continue that.
Are you teaching, so like if people want to come in whatever age, you'll teach them the styles and how to...
So I have the workshops where it's like 15 to 20 people, but then I also do one-on-one mentor sessions, and with that it's kind of that time for whether you're you have a 12-year-old daughter that wants to learn from me, or someone that a mom that just picked up a camera that wants to figure out how to use her camera.
Sure.
Like I do those, and then I also this year I'm going to be doing it. Business workshops. So I really want to help other photographers. I feel like I've been in the photography business for a time where I put in my time where it's like, okay, I think I can help other people now with business, not just the photography part. So.
Yeah. With all the long hours, I couldn't even imagine them. How do you recharge? Like, how do you keep your energy up the way you are? So.
That's something I'm working on this year. I guess it really comes down to I love what I do, and it fuels me. Like when I'm on a shoot, like I could shoot 7 days a week. To be honest, the thing that is the draining part is when when you're off the shoot, you get home, you have to edit, you have to do all that stuff. There's so much more to it, and that took me. When my business started growing, I used to think, oh yeah, I could shoot 7 days a week. Like let's do this. Like I get energized by people. I'm definitely an extrovert. I love people. Like. It energizes me when I'm there, but I'm like, oh, there's more to it, and so that's something that I'm learning is, I guess I didn't answer your question, but to answer your question, I love people, so people keep me energized.
There you go. Yeah, that's cool. And you meet so many, people, the unique people that you're working with. Like, you probably get the energy from them too. So just wherever they're at.
Yeah, you just feed off of it. Definitely.
You get any off days, or is it pretty much 7 days a week?
So in 2018, I was like not really taking days off. It was like 7 days. I was just going for it. I'm like, I want to build my business. Let's do it.
Sure.
Last year I started implementing. I'm like, okay, I'm taking 2 days off, and those off days usually I involve a computer too. Like I'll be like sitting there. I am really trying. That's something I wanted to do this year. Is like I need to have set off days where it's like I'm not answering the phone.
Killing yourself.
Yeah, which is so hard because like I said, I love what I do, but
that's
it's healthy. I need a healthy balance.
There you go. And just kind of transitioning to Vegas, especially because you're from here, all the hidden gems. What do you do for fun here? If you got some time off, what are you and your husband doing, or your girls doing?
What do we like to do?
Fun.
We like to go out to eat. We love like me and my husband always go to Neighbors brunch. We love doing that on the weekends. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because one of our favorite questions we ask everybody is, what favorite restaurant do they like in Vegas?
Yeah, love Neighbors. We were there all the time. I really hanging out with family. Like when we have off time, like my husband and me both have our families here, and we're really close with them. And so if I have an off day, I'm usually probably at one of their houses. We just had a niece and a nephew born, or 2 nieces and 1 nephew born, so usually at one of their houses.
Good stuff.
Homebody.
That's exciting.
What would you say kind of the plan is for 2020? What are you trying to accomplish this year?
So I do have some stuff launching at the first week of February, which I'm really excited about, so stay tuned on that. Yeah. But I think this year is just taking my business to the next level. I've really, I've been doing, like I said, 11 years. I've been doing my own business for going on 9 years now, and working more in like the commercial industry the last 2 years. And so this year I'm like, I just really want to take it up a notch. Kind of what happens.
Do you like pre-schedule your year out, or is it pretty much how long?
It's usually a month. Like I would say a month to 2 months. So like I could look at like my February and kind of know what's going on. It is like sometimes I can look at March and I'll be like, oh, it's kind of slow, and then it's like by the end of February it's like, oh, it's packed. Yeah. So it really just depends. Like I said, October through December is usually.
You got so many holidays and Christmas parties.
And like I love to do it all. So
That's pretty cool. And then one of the questions I forgot to ask you about is branding. So are you also, that's a part of your business, is teaching people branding? Or how does that work? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So with working more in like the commercial industry and that, like I've really been working more with small businesses.
Okay.
And what that is, I'll do brand shoots. So I have a package that I started implementing in my business where it's their brand shoots, and it's really, I'm working with them and helping their brand come to life through images. So a small business might contact me and say, hey, like I want to rebrand my business. I want to use you to do them. Like, what do we do? And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then we'll, I'll kind of hear their vision, and then I'll say, okay, this location is perfect for that, or or we need these kind of props, we need this, and just kind of help them rebrand and do all of that, which has been so fun.
Yeah, that's like a blank platform, just canvas, and just
and then it's so cool too, because then you get to see like your images help their business grow, like especially because social media is so prevalent, and your like images are so important in business nowadays.
Yeah. Are you afraid of having so much of your photography on social media? Because you have your own page, and then you've got social media where you got the Facebooks and things that kind of own that content.
Oh,
are you afraid of any of that stuff at all?
To be honest, no.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
A lot of people will say,
a
lot of people will say like, oh, watermark or do this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if someone really, there's so much content on the internet. If someone really wants it, they're gonna find it. And then there has been times where people have used my images on things that they didn't get permission for or didn't buy a licensing for, and then you reach out to them like, hey,
stop.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like social media moves so quick. So maybe your photo's there one time, and the next day no one's even gonna see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And every photographer is different. And that even goes to saying, some people will ask me like, oh, do you care if people put a filter on your photo? Like, do you get mad about that? You tell them take it down. It's like, they paid me for the images. Yes, please. I'll say like, my contract, no filters, all of that. But at the end of the day, like,
they own it after you give it to them.
Yeah, you tell them not to, and you'll say like, hey, can you remove that photo and put with no filter? Okay, no problem. It's just, I guess my biggest thing is like, you don't want to create an issue that isn't that big of an issue.
Fair enough.
There's so much content out there. It's just gonna.
That's awesome. Well, you're a workhorse, so that's good stuff,
Thank
man.
you.
It's great to have you on.
Definitely.
Tell us where can people find you? So say they wanted to hire you for a family, or they want to hire you for a corporate event, or whatever. Where would they reach you? Yeah,
so they can reach me on my Instagram at Bethany Paige Photo, and through that my email's on there. You can find that and reach out to me, and we'll hop on a phone call.
Awesome.
Get you all booked.
Good stuff. And I got one question. So, are you doing any TikTok? Are you doing any dance videos to try to drive traffic to yourself? Because that's where everything is right now.
Are you guys on TikTok?
We are.
But we don't dance on.
Yeah, but we're not dancing on there. We're just putting our stuff.
I can do this.
I'm gonna have Chris will break it down. That's good. So, are you on there too? Or?
I'm not, but maybe I should get on there.
Yeah, you should, just because it's fun.
Get behind the scenes with photography. That would be cool.
Good stuff, man. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man. And it's exciting to see your future with everybody you've been working with.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, and you'll be able to reach us at thevegascircle.com. So, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you guys so much for having me.